Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Friday as you are listening to the show. We are live today, twice in 1 week. And the perk to being live is that I got to shush the boss, not just 10 seconds ago, because he was yammering on and I was starting the music. So Andrew Scheer is our fearless leader. He is the president and CEO of Royal Broadcasting.
Give me that microphone back.
No. So, Andrew, I'm glad that you wanted to. Well, you didn't really want to. I told you, hey, this is what you're doing.
I do what I'm told.
Yes.
There are only 2 days in a month.
You're a really good boss that way.
Yeah, I'm only 2 days in a month that I'm important. The rest of the time, you people push me around.
You're really not important that one day you think either, because our checks are direct deposited. You're not really signing anything these days.
Yeah, Newman.
Kathy is the one that's important to all of us here at the station.
Yeah, I'm irrelevant.
I'm just here to be a witness in case something really goes wrong.
Larry, it's been 20 years of me slowly rolling downhill towards irrelevance.
Well, I got there before you.
So if you haven't guessed already, Larry Elliott is here from Front Royal Warren County CCAP, again, along with Andrew Scheer. He is our fearless leader here at the station. We're going to talk about Camping for Hunger. We're wrapping it up, of sorts. So we're not going to completely shut it down. Tomorrow, we're doing a live broadcast from 9 a.m. to noon, but you can still come today. Bring your food, bring your laundry detergent, bring your personal hygiene items, bring a check, bring cash, or donate online. We're going to give you all of those options in a little bit. But Andrew, get in the time machine with me. Go back in time with me 12 years ago.
I did not bring the DeLorean down, but yes, we can do this.
Tell me about how Camping for Hunger got started. Why in the world is this something you thought would be a good idea?
Well, one of the folks that we had kind of hoped would be here today was Joe Woodall. Mm-hmm. Joe is a longtime member of the staff, has moved on. Joe and I were kind of sitting around one day, and this is really kind of Joe's.
It's his brainchild.
It's his brainchild. He initiated this idea, but we were looking at ways to. We're a community-based radio station. We're a community service radio station. We were doing, blood drives with the American Red Cross. We were doing, countless other events and activities that we were sponsoring and supporting them throughout the community. But we really didn't own anything that was ours in terms of that community service, something that we developed. But hunger has always been something that people, a lot of people, most people, I don't know what the percentage is, but I would guess it's somewhere between 70 and 80% are one check away from being, their pantries are going to be empty. I think I've heard the term food. What is it? Food insecure.
Food insecure,
which is a politically correct way of saying going hungry, not being able to. And I think we really had talked about children being hungry and the summer programs that weren't available for kids when school's out. How are they going to be fed during the summer months? And so Joe had talked about the possibility of doing some kind of food drive. There's always this stuff the truck and stuff the bus, and we saw a lot of these one-day events, and there are other radio stations in the market that do something similar where they provide that opportunity to donate. But we were looking for something big. And Joe had mentioned, let's do a week where we camp. And he was
the one that stayed on the bus and did the camping.
Well, even before that, he wanted to have the radio station as the drop-off point, and he wanted us to camp outside in tents. And I said, I'll do it, but that ain't going very far with the rest of them. And so the idea of doing a 1 or 2 day event became, let's do a week-long event And then Joe started researching, how we could go about doing this and what kind of presence we could put in the community. And at the time, emergency management here in the county had purchased the school bus to use as a mobile emergency management thing. With all kinds of bells and whistles. And it's an old school bus. It's not, other than the Partridge family driving that thing around, I'm not sure what the intent was. But they purchased it and we said, hey, would you mind us borrowing this? And again, Joe, most of this was driven by Joe, but it was kind of like, let's sit down and figure out how we can do this. So the idea was to park it someplace, give it some visibility off-site, and let's live on it for a week. Let's see what it's like to be, I don't want to say homeless,
but in a situation that a lot of Larry's clients are living in or are just, a few dollars away from living in.
Let's get some empathy in our lives because we are, as I like to say, we're fat, dumb, and happy. A lot of us who are not food insecure. Anyway. So the idea was for us to empathize, for us to be out in the community, have a place, broadcast live, live on the bus, and provide that point of contact for people in the community to drop off supplies. And the first year we did it, we were shocked the number of people who came out. But the real shocking thing was the second year we did it. We doubled everything. We doubled monetary donations. We doubled food donations. We had people coming back to us the second year saying, last year I was getting donations. Yeah. This year I'm giving them because I'm in a position now because of the organizations that this benefits were able to help me and my family get out from underneath that food insecurity and some of the other things that CCAP does. At the time we were working with the Salvation Army. And so we thought, you know what, it takes a while for things like this to take off. So we're in, I forget, is this year 12 or 13?
I can't remember either. I think it's
12?
year 12.
Yeah. And so this has grown out of being a radio, and the idea that this is not a radio station event.
Right.
Let me make that very clear right now that I don't want to take credit for anything. I don't want the radio station to be put on some pedestal. This is a community event. This is the community coming out and serving the community. This is businesses as drop-off locations. These are people who are buying advertising time with proceeds going back into the program, and they drive this.
Yeah, we are simply the means to an end.
We're the conduit. I've always said you need to have a microphone or a way to communicate the information to people, and that's what we do. We communicate this, but all we do is sit on the bus.
And how did it come to be the week before Thanksgiving? Because the single most question, the question that I get asked the most over the last couple of years that I've been involved is, do y'all have heat on that bus? And the answer is always no, we do not, because like you said earlier, we are to live as if we are one step away. We couldn't, you and Joe couldn't have figured that this was nicer to do in the spring.
Well, we could have, but that's not when the need is. The need is greatest during the winter hours or winter months. You come up, first of all, you think of Thanksgiving, you think of people with food, gathering, sitting around with, a lot of food and family. And so that it naturally you want to put that in front of somebody who does have the ability to say, hey, you know what, there are people who don't have the ability to sit down and watch a football game and have a huge turkey. So let's take care of them. But it has grown into, December, January, February are the least productive times for food banks to get incoming donations because people are paying off Christmas card bills. Mm-hmm. A lot of seasonal jobs don't happen in January, February. So there's that whole need that really grows exponentially in those winter months. And you think about your homeless population in January, February, that's when they suffer the most.
Yeah.
And so, this really is to provide that bridge between when food donations start to dry up a little bit to when people start coming back out in the spring to donate again. And I think Larry will talk more about this, but how that has helped bridge because of the mass quantities of food that the community comes out and brings to us. Has helped do that.
And it's a little different this year. Everything is a little different this year. Some things are a lot different this year. So we're at the station, not at Royal Plaza like we normally are. So if somebody has been listening and where is the bus? I keep going through the parking lot and it's not there. We're here at the station, 1106 Elm Street. And a lot of that was safety. Yep. You were safety minded when you made the decision that it was going to be here. But pretty much everything else is the same, other than we're not sleeping on the bus.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm actually sleeping on tonight.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
I'm down, and I'm I actually will feel safer on the bus tonight than staying in a hotel.
You've clearly never seen the pictures that Lonnie posts on our Facebook page of the bears that wander through the parking lot.
My wife has asked me to put some food on the step and see if I can get some pictures at 4 a.m. She said, come on, I've seen the security pictures.
And I will point out, and you're going to be annoyed with me for doing it, but hey, I've already shushed you. What else do I have to lose? You are one of, when we sleep on the bus, we come in 14 layers of clothes. We've got sleeping bags. We've got blankets. The girls always choose an early day in the week because there's still room for cots, and we try to make it as comfortable as possible. You sleep with a blanket on a yoga mat on the floor of that bus. You really do walk the walk.
Well, yeah, but again, empathy to understand what it is to be a day away, 2 days away from not having enough to eat, to not having the warmth necessary that I provide my family. And so, yeah, there's a sense of I don't want that on anybody. I certainly don't want it on my children. And so I'm going to do what I can do to make sure that doesn't happen to anybody's family and anybody's children.
And Larry, we've talked about this in previous shows. Over the years, because Camping for Hunger has grown, we have gone from being able to help you, as Andrew mentioned, just through those winter months of December, January, and February. Some years you've been able to get through April and May with the donations that we've collected.
That's right. I think, again, from the CCAP volunteer perspective, back during the time that you and Joe were talking about this, the CCAP guys are saying just what you thought. We have a struggle every time we get in November, December, January, February. So when the bus campaign came along, after a couple of years, we saw we knew exactly what the core amount of donation would be to make sure we got that far. And all of a sudden, not only did we get that far, we got into April and May and sometimes in June, and then more cash started coming in. And that's when we could accrue that account and go out and buy food exactly when we needed it. So some of the augmentation levels of that drove right down into the fall again. So we completed the loop. But what you did, unintended consequences, Andrew, you created a food supply chain that goes way beyond CCAP because we share it with Salvation Army, the Senior Center. This week we're providing food to Rotary, who's identified 120 different families who need help.
The Doc Smith baskets.
Yep, that's right. So that's going out. We share with anybody who needs food, just when they need it. So now we have a food supply chain. It's an identifiable food supply chain through what you do connected to our food bank, which because of the leverage that they have with Feeding America, every dollar that we get buys four meals.
I learned that on Monday. Yeah. I learned that. He taught me that on Monday.
So when young Aiden came in yesterday and donated his $600, 2,400 meals are going to show up somewhere out there. And the other thing, the people who are going out and shopping to buy food for the bus were getting points for the turkeys. Next thing you know, we got a load of turkeys coming in this weekend.
Wow.
So
you mean aside from the one that I'm sitting across the desk from right now? I am on a roll, but
you won't even let him gobble. Huh? But so it has created this supply chain that allows us now to have a wider menu than we've ever had. We have fresh food now. Because of the cash, we go out and buy fresh food every week. Including summer, we get a lot of donations. So this is a tremendous thing. And again, these were the unintended, wonderful consequences that have grown up out of this thing.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about the donations. I want to talk about the types of food that you need for people to bring by. And again, I want to reiterate how important those monetary donations are, because being able to donate cash through our PayPal account and through everything that you've set up online isn't going to stop today or even stop tomorrow. So people have an opportunity to continue giving. So let's talk about all of that in the next segment. Does that work for both of you? Why am I asking you? You're not going anywhere.
I'm here.
That's what we're going to talk about in the next break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Do you know anyone who is struggling with financial hardships because of coronavirus? Our new webinar called Coping with the Money Crunch can help. We'll talk about immediate options to consider, revising or creating a spending plan, and lots of community resources. Then we'll cover how to narrow your priorities, contact creditors, and avoid scams and risky loans. The webinar is free, and you can either join by phone or through Zoom on a smartphone, tablet, or computer. You can find out more by visiting the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program on Facebook or calling Karen Poff at 540-635-4549. Let me show you how to make your own plan or help someone you care about get through the crisis. Call 635-4549 or visit @NSV Financial Education on Facebook today.
That was my last shush, I promise. Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Friday of Camping for Hunger Week. That means we are filling the bus. I glanced at it as I came in through the parking lot. It doesn't look nearly as full as it had, but we were talking during the break that sometimes it just is crazy how quickly it gets full in the shortest period of time. So I'm in the studio today. We are live. Andrew Scheer is here with me. He is our fearless leader here at the River 95.3 and Sports Radio 1450. Larry Elliott is also here with us. He is the king of Front Royal Warren County CCAP, although he says his crown is a little rusty, so he won't let me refer to him like that on a regular basis. It's made out of a can. It's made out of a tin can. So, Larry, there are two things that I want to make sure we talk about. First off, you mentioned in the first segment about unintended consequences, good unintended consequences. And the Boy Scouts have partnered with us for years. Mm-hmm. And I think people need to understand and realize that when they're sitting those cans at their mailboxes or on their front steps for our local Boy Scout troops to come by and pick up, those are ending up here. So a lot of times people don't even realize they're helping us and helping their community by doing something for another organization because we partner with so many of them.
Yeah, these kids do a tremendous job. I mean, the report told me the other day that they dropped off 535 pounds here and another 500 pounds over at CCAP offices. So 1,000 pounds of food is a big deal.
And a lot of people think, well, I don't know if I want to donate. How do I know it's actually helping my neighbors? Well, this is how you know. It is actually helping your neighbors. This is not going to D.C. It's not going, on a state or a national level. This is staying right here in Front Royal Warren County. Yeah, it's here are your neighbors. We kind of hit a bit of a peak in 2018. So in the year 2018, we did our inventory on our client records, and we determined that we had 3,000 heads of households were signed up to come into CCAP throughout that year. We then looked at the number of kids and other people in there. And so that turned out to be over 8,000 individuals being served, and about 2,000 of those are children. And most of them are inside the city limits of Front Royal. We have some outlying places in Browntown, Bentonville area, and so forth. But they're here. And you go face to face with these people every day, but you don't know it.
I was going to say that's the one thing is you may not know who you're standing there talking to at the high school football game or in the library or
checking out at the grocery store, your bank teller. I mean, it is amazing. I've learned from talking to United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley about the Alice population, and they are the largest hidden population that you don't know is struggling every single day.
Yeah, that's true. And so in the state of Virginia, we were talking the other day about the food insecure. Going back a few years, it was always around 42 million people nationwide. Mm-hmm. And now with the pandemic, it's over 50 million. In the state of Virginia, the number has always been around 800,000. Now it's closer to 1.2 million. Wow. So, and we've got our share right here. And so if I've got 8,000 individuals that CCAP covers, there's still more. That's just,
in a good year. In a year where arguably, well, we knew there wasn't a pandemic, but in a good economic year otherwise.
Yeah, and that's the first layer. There are a couple of other layers of insecurity. And when you add them all up, you're getting close to 14,000, 15,000 people in this area. Yeah. That are being served, and none of them have raised their hand to say, I'd like to be poor, I'd like to be in food insecure. They didn't intend to be there, they didn't want to be there. Some of them are embarrassed about being there, and our job is to say, forget that. We're going to give you the food, we're going to help you graduate, we're going to help you move up. That's what we want to do.
So speaking of the pandemic, we were talking during the break, and that was one of the things that has amazed you during this last week are the number of donations that have come in. We are in a pandemic. We have record numbers of unemployment. A lot more people probably have need than they necessarily do cash to help others that have that need, and that doesn't seem to have slowed this community down too much.
Well, it's like somebody told the people of Warren County, look, there's a raging pandemic going on. It's really unbelievable. It's apocalyptic. And the people of Warren County said, I don't care. I have to go donate my food.
And they said, hold my beer.
I'm going to the bus. I'm going to give by cash. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to give up.
And so talk to me about donations, money versus food. So food, what do you need for people that want to go to the grocery store and physically be a part of giving back to their community? What kinds of things would you like them to buy and bring to the bus today and tomorrow?
We always like what we call the long shelf life foods, the canned foods that are going to be durable, because we move through a lot, but we don't like anything to expire. So that's the kind of stuff we need. A few years ago, we noticed, and we did an announcement on the bus, our people need to keep their homes clean. They need household cleaning supplies. That's a big deal. They need toiletries. They need personal items. Those are the kinds of things we love to see to the bus, and we always want to bring food to the bus. That is a tradition here, 12-year tradition of bringing food to the bus. Now, when we get into the cash side, now we're getting into the ability to keep a balanced menu. I never know what people are going to donate on the bus. I just love them to bring the food in. Leave it to us to balance out the menu. That's where we dip into the cash, and we go out and go back to the food bank, or we go to grocery stores, and then we create a balanced menu, and we can buy that food with that cash just in time, just when we need it, just the right food.
And people have the ability to make a monetary donation, and maybe they don't necessarily want it to go to Camping for Hunger. They want to see you in a new building. We talked about the importance, the CCAP of the future on Monday's show, and the importance of getting a new building. They can designate where they want you to spend that money, and that's exactly what you'll do with it.
We will. The big deal about the new building is it gives us more room to operate. We can't operate the way we want to in our small, less than 1,000 square foot basement area right now. We need a building where we can, if another pandemic comes along, we keep going. We can make it safe. We can keep things going. So that's the importance. It also helps us attract more volunteers. It also gives a more comfortable place for our clients to show up and get the services they need. And in the best case, we will start adding more services. We're talking about a unified referral unit being put into that new building whenever we get that building. So you can designate for the building fund. You can just designate it for CCAP food. You can designate it for the fresh food program where we go and shop, eggs and milk and cheese and produce and all that stuff. So those are the ways you can designate. And you can also go online, go to River 95.3 right now, and you'll see the donate button for the Camping for Hunger. Go to the CCAP website, ccap.org. You'll see the donate button right there as well. You can mail in checks to 316 North Royal Avenue, Front Royal. You can mail in grocery gift cards. You can actually bring any of that to the bus and drop it off at the bus. So when you do those things, you're creating a multiplying effect that allows us to just go way into the future with supporting a lot of people when they need help.
And Andrew, you mentioned earlier that the first year we did this, Salvation Army was the beneficiary. And I think your original plan was to kind of bounce around and find different organizations that could help. And then we settled in on Front Royal Warren County CCAP. I know why that's what it was. And Larry and I touched on it in our conversation on Monday. Why did you settle into Front Royal Warren County CCAP as the beneficiary?
Very, blunt. Everything stays here. It's 100% volunteer driven. It is supported by community for community. None of this trickles outside of the Warren County borders. And I think, quite frankly, quite honestly, what we do from a community standpoint has to support our neighbors. And you touched upon this. All due respect to the people in Richmond or in Lynchburg or Arlington or wherever their needs are, they're not our needs. And so if someone's going to donate, if someone's going to give money, if someone's going to spend their time and their gas to go to the grocery store and take care of buying food for somebody else, they want to know that it's going to help support local. And as far as I know, the only overhead that CCAP ever has is if they have to take their food to a storage facility because we donated too much. Other than that, this is 100% volunteer driven. And one of the things I did want to mention to Larry, because you've talked about all the needs and things, is continuing to have volunteers. You and I have talked about this in the past. If people are looking for an opportunity and a way to give back, pandemic aside, this is a great opportunity because it does stay here. And because the only way this happens is boots on the ground. And that's the one thing that my plea, other than, to help support this weekly long event, is to support this 52-week effort that CCAP of Warren County has, because this is a year-round problem. This is not just, okay, the week's over and now it's Thanksgiving. This happens 52 weeks a year. There are people who are hungry.
Well, sometimes it feels like there are 150. But you're right about the volunteer. Just keep in mind what happened when the pandemic hit. Yeah. We lost about half of our volunteers. most of the volunteers look like me, people who've been around for over 7 decades. And I didn't wake up feeling fresh every morning for the last several years. But so we need to augment our volunteer force right now. A lot of them had underlying conditions, and they weren't comfortable, and their families weren't comfortable. And we said, no, never mind. You stay home if you can't come in. Don't come in if you're sick. But now when you come in, you can come in and get your clothing. You only have 15 minutes to shop. We take your temperature. You have to be a mask. We got a protocol that we cleared through the Office of Emergency Management to make sure that. But we need the volunteers. They're the frontline workers. They are looking at our clients face to face, talking to them all the time, and feeling out what their needs are. So if you like to do that, then you should come over. And believe me, you'll find it's rewarding. The very act of helping other people is going to help you more than it helps them.
And it doesn't even have to be something where they're there at CCAP. I mean, volunteers come in all shapes and sizes. So if somebody is out there and they're really good at putting together fundraisers, or they want to, spearhead a particular fundraiser, you need volunteers to do all kinds of things, from bookkeeping to the actual work that you're doing at CCAP. But there are a lot of things that you can find for a volunteer to do.
Got a lot of remote work they can do in terms of financial management. We like to report to our donors that we know what we're doing. We got all of our financials on QuickBooks. We trace every penny, every pound of food. All the items of clothing are inventoried. We got an IRS guideline a couple of years ago that says, how can we value the total market value of everything that flows out of CCAP into the community? And they marked up all of our stuff, and it says about $400,000 worth of stuff that you're doing. So I'm close to the pencil. I told you the other day, my ancestors came from Scotland. I know how to walk. I know how to make a penny go further. A Circe is a surprise, something you don't want to have if you're keeping the books.
I learned Scottish. I learned all kinds and I learned I can't call him cheap. I have to refer to him as frugal.
You can't call him cheap, but you can shush me?
Yeah. Duh. Yeah. So, Andrew, here we are 12 years in. Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment? Is there a standout moment to you from all of the Camping for Hunger?
There are some real
that you can say on the air.
There are some very comic moments that we've had. The standout moment I have is the second or third year, and I forget which year it was. The donor who came to the bus in tears because he and his family the year before had been on the receiving line at CCAP, and he was in a position in order to give back, and he was going. It was a bag of food. That was it. We generated a good amount of food that third, and I believe it was the third year. But he wanted to let us know that this helped move the needle for him and his family, and as a result, he was here to make sure it moved for somebody else's family. And that was the point of the whole thing, and that's when I said we're going to continue to do this as long as the community continues to want to support it. And if nothing else ever comes of that one story is probably a microcosm of multiple stories that people just don't share.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because that would have been my moment, because that happened to me my first year on the bus. And they came later in the evening. They had a bag. It had several cans in it. And I did we kind of get into our routine when we're on the bus. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Here, have a sticker. And we don't always stop and be in that particular moment. And when that gentleman handed me that bag and I said thank you, and he said, I'm sorry it's not more. And I said, sir, please, one can is plenty. And he goes, well, last year I had to go to CCAP and get food, and this year I don't. And I really wanted to give back. I had the exact same moment that you did, and I just had to take a moment. I mean, it really was a wow moment.
Yeah, we call those graduates. And I had at least one telephone call where a lady called me up and said, if I can get just one more month of help, I've got a job and I won't need your help anymore. I'm going through the grocery line. The lady says, would you like to contribute to CCAP? I said, well, maybe I'll consider that. and I contributed, and she knew who I was. And she said, I used to be a CCAP client, but now I have a job. And so the graduates are all over the place. And we see the numbers turning through our case files, that people are getting out of there, new people are coming in. So it is the final safety net that we can provide.
So we're going to wrap up today's show, but I want to make sure everybody understands and realizes. Auto Care Clinic, Bill Long, out on Winchester Road. You can take food out there. Bill is one of our food partners. Air Serve on Commerce. They're in their new building, I think now on Commerce Street. You can take food there. Via Satellite is a food drop-off point. You can bring anything and everything here to the bus. We are at 1106 Elm Street. If you're heading out 55, you'll see the big food drive signs. Don't let Tower Road scare you. It doesn't drop completely off the edge.
Just
of the
put
earth.
your hands up and go, whee!
Put your hands up
It's like
and
a
go,
roller
whee!
coaster coming down here.
Somebody is here manning the bus from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. Rotary has been very, very kind, and they have been helping us to man the bus. I believe as we are sitting here in the studio, Russ from the RSW Regional Jail called yesterday. They are bringing 2,000 plus cans. Again, we mentioned the Boy Scouts Front Royal Christian School was brought, but it doesn't matter if you're going to bring us 2,000 cans or you're going to bring us 2 cans. Every single can helps, and every single dollar gets multiplied virtually by 4.
Yep, does.
2 cans? We're bringing birds?
We're bringing birds in 2 cans. You can go to the River 953's Facebook page. At the very top of our feed, you will see the link to donate. You can go to frontroyalcap.org and donate there. You can go to theriver953.com. You can donate there. You can send us a text and say, hey, where did you say I can donate? We can do all of that, 635-4121. We are going to wrap up our conversation today, but I do want to say thank you, Andrew, because you have given me an opportunity to be able to participate in making this community better. And, you know, as much as I shush you and roll my eyes at you, I guess I got to say thank you.
It's what a community radio station is supposed to do, and it's what the community has demanded and has done. We're nothing more than the communication tool. We're the conduit. Larry and his organization and the community have taken care of us, and so I couldn't be more proud to be involved in that.
And Larry, thank you for the impact that you not only have made over Camping for Hunger, but that you make every day of the entire year. Thank you, and to all of your volunteers at Front Row Warren County CCAP. It is appreciated.
It was great fun. I was hoping you guys would get in a food fight.
Oh, well, you know, the day is still young. The day is not over yet. We're just because we're wrapping up the radio show doesn't necessarily mean that might not happen in the parking lot.
It was
so
awesome.
you better get down here to the radio station. I'll
Listen,
meet you back here on Monday.
Yeah.